Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Below the 38 Football and Adventures in South Korea. I'm Andrew. Delighted to say I'm joined again by Luke, fresh from his holidays in Southeast Asia in Vietnam. Hi, Luke. How are you doing?
I'm not bad. Had a nice rest. Ready to go again.
No football on over there. Did you not? I don't know what this league structure is like. I mean, I presume they play over the winter there. So, is there games on at the moment?
There was a game a couple of days before we arrived, and there's a game in the next couple of days after we've left, I think. But the place where we were, our closest team was Da Nang, and they're in the second division of Vietnamese football. So if I'd have turned up, I might have been asked to play, so I didn't go.
Fair enough. I've never been to a game in Vietnam. Been to Vietnam, never seen a game there. I've seen a Vietnamese team play against Incheon on one of the most famous nights in the history of Incheon football when they qualified for the Champions League. But anyway, enough of that. Maybe another day we can go down memory lane when the World Cup is on. At Below the 38, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and of course our YouTube channel. And great news, exciting news. We've launched our own website. We've kept it very much under the cover of darkness at the moment because it's bare bones type of stuff. We're basically just kind of fitting our way into this, but over the next couple of weeks we'll make a big effort to advertise our new website. So you can search for us below the 38 korea.com, I think the name of the website is. Anyway, let's crack on. It's a Thursday night we're recording this. The Children's Day fixtures are over. Very, very busy week in K-League 1, and next week is also a very, very busy week because they're trying to cram as many fixtures in before the World Cup when the league takes a huge break between mid-May and July the 4th. So there's one game on at 2 o'clock on Saturday, Luke, and FC Seoul, they got the lucky card this year. They've got the 2 o'clock Saturday game in Jeju. And I think especially after a holiday as well, maybe it's a little bit cheaper. Flights are not going to be as expensive as they would have been the weekend before. So Jeju SK versus FC Seoul in Solgapo. Jeju had a rough start to the season, but they've begun to pick up a couple of big victories, two of those of the four actually against Bucheon, which has gone down particularly well for the faithful in Solgapo. And as we know, if you're following K-League 1 at this point, you certainly are aware that all you have to do in K-League 1 this year is avoid 12th, because 12th will get you into a relegation promotion playoff with one of the teams from K-League 2. Jeju at this point already looks safe from 12th spot. They're 9 points clear of Gwangju, and they're clearly a much better team than Gwangju. So they head back to Solgapo after a very tense 1-0 win in Bucheon, which saw a lot of swearing and complaints in the media. We might have a chat about that later on. But they face FC Seoul, who are 2 without a win, and they are also going to play the remainder of their games before the break away from home. So it's kind of interesting to see what their mentality is going to be going into all that. Seoul did win the first meeting between these two sides in March, but they did lose all 3 to Jeju last season.
Yeah, and following on from that, Saturday afternoon, 4:30, we have Gimcheon Sangmu playing Incheon United. Incheon have only had 1 defeat in 5, but Gimcheon have had a few good wins over the last few weeks as well. Having gone all of those games drawing, they managed to beat Bucheon and Seoul to give Seoul their first defeat of the season. Incheon recently have had a few knocks to players, particularly Lee Tae-hee, the goalkeeper, who has been doing really well since he came back into the starting lineup. He went off at half-time against Daejeon, and at the moment there's no news as to whether he's going to be fit to play this weekend. So yeah, if he's out, that could be a blow for Incheon.
Gwangju versus Gangwon is another Saturday game. It's the 4:30 start. Unfortunately, it's a case of every time Gwangju play now, the over and under is it over or under 5 goals. Gangwon will be bitterly disappointed that when they faced Gwangju last month, they only scored 3 goals. And any other circumstance, that would seem like a good result. But Gwangju's form is absolutely rotten right now. 8 losses on the bounce. They've conceded 29 in that spell, scoring just 3. And a number of occasions now, they've also conceded 5 in single matches. Gangwon, well, they continue to impress. They're defying the odds year on year, marching up into the top 4 yet again. This is a team with no superstars. They have the youngest average squad in the entire league, and their squad is valued at the 6th most expensive, and yet there they are in 4th, and a good chance to pick up 3 points, which they should be doing in Gwangju at the 4:30 kickoff on Saturday.
now is the dreaded 7 p.m. game. 7 p.m. on Saturday, we have Daejeon Hana Citizen playing host to Pohang Steelers. Daejeon are actually the league's form team at the minute, which is surprising because we talked about their poor record at the beginning of the season, and it took them a long time to get a first win. We speculated as to whether they would change manager, but look at them now. Make us look silly. They've won 3 of their last 5. They've scored 10 goals and conceded only twice. Pohang, on the other hand, they're struggling for goals. They've had decent wins recently, scoring in the last minute to beat Ulsan in a local derby. And they drew away at Gangwon. And as we've said, Gangwon are a good team this year. And so a point there is very good. I think this will be a tough task for both teams. It will be an interesting game. And I think if Pohang can, get a couple of goals, they can cause Daejeon problems.
The Sunday, everybody dreads the Sunday, but at least 2:00 on Sunday for Bucheon FC 1995. This is their first ever trip to Ulsan Munsu for a competitive league match. Certainly not since it was a team that was based in Bucheon before. I think it's remarkable when you look at the table, Luke, and you see Ulsan in third. Every time I look at the weekend results, they just seem to be staggering from one crisis to another. Some of this stuff is obviously off-field, things said about players, which is, as we've commented before, is absolutely disgraceful. And yet they are third. I think even more surprising, they are just 6 points shy of FC Seoul, helped obviously by the fact that Seoul had picked up 1 point from a possible 6 in their last 2 home matches. It looks like they haven't played well all season. And they did win fortuitously in Gimcheon on Children's Day. That brought to an end a run of 3 games without a win. They look more likely, in my opinion, to be fighting to avoid a spot in Final B than they are to be challenging for the title. And yet, with Seoul's difficult trip to Jeju, there's every opportunity here that Ulsan could just be 3 points off the top by the end of the weekend. Bucheon, they left Anyang with 3 points in a really controversial game last weekend, but that is the only bright spot in what has been a very difficult run of form for them. Not unexpected, they have one of the cheapest squads in the league. Rodrigo Bassani's only come back from injury now, so I expect an Ulsan win here, but I don't think this is going to be particularly an enthralling encounter.
Yeah, I mean, Ulsan, every time I've seen them play, they look to have struggled. They got hit for 4 goals by Daejeon. They were hammered by Seoul at home. I don't know. They managed to pick up wins in games that you would expect them to win. But whenever there's a team of a similar stature comes to town, they don't seem to have the quality that they've had in previous years to force themselves to win games. They were very fortunate to beat Incheon. I think it was a 95th or 96th minute goal, and it was more of a lack of concentration by Incheon's backline than anything that Ulsan created. But yeah, it's the games like those. That's the difference. That's the difference in finishing higher in the table than lower in the table, playing the full 95, 100 minutes as you get in K-League and keeping going. But yeah, we'll see. Give it 10 more games, let's see where Ulsan are, because I think they could drop off. Final game of the weekend, Sunday at 4:30, is Anyang versus Jeonbuk. And again, this is interesting because it plays into the first game of the weekend, which is the Jeju Seoul game. Jeonbuk, after a rough start, have had 3 wins on the bounce, and they're now second in the league. They're looking to put pressure on Seoul. And with Seoul not doing very well in their last few games, there's an opportunity for Jeonbuk to perhaps overtake them before the World Cup break. Anyang shouldn't be underestimated. They've been playing really well. They've only lost 3 times this year. And it's going to be a good game. History is on Jeonbuk's side. They've won every single one of the 4 meetings between the 2 teams. But maybe it's time for Anyang to make some history and break that 100% record. We'll see.
Yeah, they've already done that this season when they recorded a win over Pohang, which they failed to do last season on the first ever trip to K-League 1. Interesting to see if Bruno Mata plays. Obviously, he was adored at Anyang in their first season, and they're obviously missing him badly. Quick look at the table before we look at the games we're excited to see or matches that we're going to see ourselves. After 12 rounds, it's just so incredibly tight. And we've said this week on week that the teams are basically jumping 5 or 6 spots on the back of a single win. Gangwon surprising everybody in fourth spot. They are only 4 points clear of Bucheon, who are in second bottom. That's 11th. They have 13 points. And yet it feels to me like Gangwon have had an absolutely wonderful season so far. Only lost 3 games so far. So, yeah, it's tight. It's tight. It always seems to be in this league. So just from like an Incheon point of view, a win from Incheon at the weekend could conceivably drop them back into the top 4. It's very, very tight. Gwangju, as we said, they are now adrift at the bottom, 7 points shy of Bucheon. FC Seoul are 5 points clear at the top of the table. So,
do you think there's any way back?
Yeah.
Do you think there's any way back for Gwangju? 'Cause we saw last year Daegu were cut off and they very nearly did it. We have seen teams come back from the brink before, but do you think this is going to be too much for Gwangju?
They don't have a Cecilia, I think, or an Edgar, players of that quality. No, I don't. I think that, but it's weird as well that they went unbeaten in their first 4. Remember, I think one of the earlier podcasts of the season, Anyang, Bucheon, and Gwangju, I think, occupied 3 of the top 4 spots. Like, we knew that those 3 were never going to stay up there. But yeah, I think I think they're done already. I think this is it. And yeah, I think it sounds like they're struggling badly. People who watch them all the time said they're just struggling horrendously with injuries. So it's I think it's done for them. For like minus 25 goal difference as well after 12 games, like it is absolutely extraordinary. I'll let you go first then, because I'm gonna return to Gwangju anyway. So, what is your game of the weekend? One that you're anticipating could be a one to check out in the highlights reel later on.
I've actually gone for Jeju this week, Jeju versus Seoul. If you'd have asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, this wouldn't have been very high on my list. But Seoul's lead's been cut. They're only 5 points clear at the top. Jeju are down in 9th, but both teams have got an identical record over the last 5 games. It's 2 wins, 2 defeats, and a draw. So Jeju are improving. They are getting better. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can transfer that improvement into home games. They've only got 1 win at home all season, and Seoul are undefeated in their away games, so on paper it should be a simple win. But I think Jeju were going to cause some problems for Seoul, and if there's a draw in the game, I think Jeju will be happy at that. But Seoul really shouldn't be dropping any more points with Jeonbuk breathing down their neck. Jeonbuk having the last game of the weekend as well means that Seoul will play, and then Jeonbuk know that whatever they do will be. They can either close the gap on Seoul or they need to win to keep momentum. So yeah, it's a really important game, this, I think, for a number of teams in the league, for Jeju, for Seoul. And also, I think people at Jeonbuk will be watching this game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I chipped Jeju versus Jeonbuk as the game to look forward to last weekend. I didn't get to see it in the end, but I had a look at the highlights. I mean, it ended 2-0 to Jeonbuk in the end, but... Jeju are unlucky. I think Jeju are probably a decent team. It's just that they're like a lot of the teams in this league. They're just struggling to find consistent form on a week by week basis. I'm going to go for Gangwon, just because, as I said before, it's just so interesting to watch Gwangju these days. If they're losing every game 1-0 or 2-1, and they're on an 8-game losing streak, that happens. It can happen to teams. But the fact that they're losing heavily, basically week on week now. And it was a major surprise that Jeonbuk didn't put 5 past them, albeit the goalkeeping performance apparently was fantastic for Gwangju that day, even though they conceded 4 in the end. And Gangwon are not really a team you want to face as a home team. Their away form is so much better than their home form. They've won 3 of their 6 matches on the road, as opposed to only 1 at home. That 1 win that they got at home was against Gwangju, but the scalps they've recorded away from home, Incheon United, they had a big 3-0 win against Gimcheon Sangmu earlier on this season, and they also won away to Daejeon Hana Citizen 2-0. So this is a team that's comfortable picking up wins away from home. They don't tend to concede too many goals when they go away from home. So Gangwon to continue their good start to the season and probably push them further away from the drop between Final A and Final B, and for Gwangju just can't get any worse. I mean, I don't even think they're near rock bottom yet. And a result, unless they lose 10-0 to a team like Gangwon, this is not really the game that's going to show up that at the moment. But if it's just another defeat and they can't score any goals and they're leaking more, it's going to be awful. So yeah, looking forward. I want to see if Gangwon are as good as they potentially could be, and or can Gwangju turn this around? Sorry about that. I love it. There's a little bit of dead air there. At least there's some soundtrack that's coming. Do you want to add to that, or will we just go on to the games that we're going to be at ourselves?
I don't know. I mean, I feel bad for the Gwangju players, and it's a very difficult situation. And you've got to feel that every week that they lose, and they lose heavily, like the motivation just must be evaporating if there's any left. I mean, at this point, I don't think they'd be in the top half of K-League 2. And relegation will probably be a blessing for them. They can start again. But I mean, we've discussed Gwangju. They don't have a crowd. They play in a stadium that's too big for them. I mean, they're competing with Kia Tigers baseball. It's just not a very good situation, and I don't see it getting any better in the immediate future. They could go down, and they could do a Songnam at this rate. It's sad, but it's kind of inevitable at this stage.
Where are you going this weekend?
Gimcheon. Speaking of going down, this could potentially be Incheon's last ever trip to Gimcheon. There are a few things that need to happen. We know that Gimcheon are going down, but if Incheon and Gimcheon finish in different halves of the split, then they won't play each other again after the final 33 games that we've got set up now. The third game of this will be at Incheon, so this is our only scheduled trip to Gimcheon this year. They're going down, so if they don't come back as a K-League 2 team, as a citizen team in Gimcheon, then who knows? Incheon might never play Gimcheon again. They'll play the Sangmu team at some point. But yeah, I want to go down. I've been to this ground once. Gimcheon as a city, there's not really much there. It's very countryside. I think going once is enough, but I'm a bit of a masochist. So that's my plan. KTX down, KTX back.
Yeah, I've been there twice myself. I saw Ulsan. I remember following Ulsan a little bit the season that they won the championship, because they hadn't won the league in about 15 odd years, 15, 16 years. So I was trying to see if I could be at the stadium where they'd go on and win their first championship for a long time. That was my first trip to Gimcheon. Wasn't overly impressed with it. Went back last season for a game against Pohang, and they were amazing last season because they had like Idong Gyung, for example, Idong Jun now at Jeonbuk Motors, and they fizzled for most of last season, finishing second, I think. No, they finished third in the end, wasn't it? Daejeon finished second, but for a long time they were Jeonbuk's number one contender. Their squad has been decimated, as it always is, at the end of every season. They don't own the players. They're obviously there on loan in their army service, so you can't sort of cry too much on their behalf. But I won't miss it. I might try and go down once more this season, but if I don't, whatever. It's an interesting club because it is the army club, and there's always a story there. But the stadium, as you said, the club itself, as like this, the city, it's not the most successful place to go to. So, yeah, good luck with that anyway. It's going to be a tough game. They're not as good as they were last season. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, well, I think I go into most Incheon games now thinking this is going to be a tough game. We're hot and cold. There's not a lot of consistency. I mean, to go to Jeonbuk and win, and then to just perform as we have and struggle, it's kind of, I don't know, it's up and down. You never know which Incheon you're going to get. And it's, to be fair, anywhere above 10th place will do me this year. I think we should be okay. But
it'll be fine. It doesn't, I mean, this game, I have no idea how this game is going to go. I have a feeling Gimcheon might sneak it at the end, but over the course of the season, yeah, I think it could just be one of those unremarkable seasons, just waiting for K-League 1 to change next season, hopefully change for the better. That game is on, as I said, Saturday, 4:30. I will not be getting to a K-League 1 match this weekend. The only day that I'm available this weekend is on Saturday, and given where I live, there are no matches available in K-League 1. So I will be in K-League 2. Just to mention the fact that Daegu are bringing what is what you could almost say is a K-League 1 away crowd, which is really good to see in K-League 2 because you don't see it often enough. So I'll be at K-League 2, Luke will be at K-League 1. Mike is not around this weekend. So that's it from us for this week. This is our K-League 1 preview podcast on Below the 38. Luke and I will be back next week for the weekend that was. Enjoy the football this weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye.
Bye.